well, this is what I did. And if you do it, it might work for you too. Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. I'm Danielle, and in today's video we're talking about how I was able to save $11,000 in 3 months. If you're interested in videos about self-love, self-care, or self-improvement, then this might be your jam. Go ahead and subscribe to my channel. Before we go any further, go ahead, hit the subscribe button. And I just want to say before we get started that this is not going to be me telling you like exact numbers and you need to save this much every month in order to get the same results, just because everybody's income is different, everybody's expenses are different, everybody's circumstances are different. So I can't tell you exactly how much money you need to be saving every month, but I can tell you like these are the principles that I used. This is what I did and this is how I did it. The very first thing that I did as far as like how I even got into budgeting and all that stuff was to educate myself. So I started to read financial literacy books, and one specifically definitely like kickstarted this whole journey and pretty much changed our lives. So if you guys are interested, drop a comment below and I'll definitely make another video talking about that. But yeah, so the first step, like I said, educate yourself, learn as much as you can, and then that'll help you to put a plan in motion. So with the book that I read, I knew I had to get like a full picture of our finances. So I wanted to figure out how much debt we had, what the interest rate on all those debts were, what the balance was on each of those debts, when the due date was, how many subscriptions we had, how much we brought home. So you want to do your net income, like not your gross income. Your gross is how much you make per year. Your net is how much you actually bring home. So you might net $8,000 a month, but you're only bringing home $5,000. If that makes sense. Once I had like a full and complete picture, I took my notebook, I wrote all the numbers down. I was very clear on how much we're paying in rent, how much we're paying for cell phone bills, how much we're paying for subscriptions, how much we're paying for internet, stuff like that. Like once I had all that stuff figured out, then I looked at that list and I was like, okay, so what can we get rid of? What do we not necessarily use every month? What can go? And then once I figured out what could go, then I had, okay, now I know exactly how much our expenses are each month. So for us, it's rent, internet, car insurance, electric bill, water bill, which is every 3 months for us, and just like things like that. Those are the things that are going to be the same every single month, and they give you a really good picture of how much you're going to be spending. So those are like your fixed finances for the month. So for our fixed finances, it was about 1/3 of our total income. So for us, we're living pretty well below our means as far as like what it would actually take to sustain our house versus what we bring home. Okay, so if you're following, we got a full picture of our finances, so we know exactly how much we're netting every single month, and we know how much our fixed expenses are. So now we need to worry about our expenses that aren't fixed. So how much money are we going to be paying for debt per month? How much money are we going to be paying for our other living expenses? So like groceries, eating out, just like fun money, toiletries, all that kind of stuff. How much money do you think that it's going to cost you to live on top of your fixed expenses? And then how much money are you going to be putting towards saving every month? So for me, that was the full budget. When I look at how much we bring home every month, and then I start subtracting fixed expenses, non-fixed expenses or living expenses, debt payoff, and savings, that's all of it. You want to know exactly where your money's going to go every single month. So you don't want to leave much left over. For us, it makes sense to have like a small cushion of like $200 to $500, just so we know if we miscalculate something, there's money in there and we're not also incurring overdraft fees. You want to make sure you know where all your money's going and that you're sending it there every single month. And you do that with automatic payments. All of our credit card bills come out automatically, all of our normal bills come out automatically, and then you're also paying on time every month, and you're not getting late fees and then spending even more money on bills, because that's just, I mean, it's counterproductive, honestly. I definitely made sure that I set up auto pay for every single bill that we have, and usually it gets paid early, so definitely a plus. And the next thing I did was use a credit card for everything, for all of our expenses. If you don't have credit cards with a zero balance, then you can't do this, or you shouldn't do this, because you're going to pay interest. So you want to make sure your credit cards have a zero balance, because you're going to pay them in full every single month. And the only reason I'm using credit cards to pay for things is because I want the rewards that I get from the credit card. For some people, you might know that you're not responsible enough to do this, and if that's the case, then I wouldn't recommend doing it. But for me, I know that I can pay it off every single month. Like for instance, I have an Amex that I use for all of our monthly expenses. So for us, our monthly expense budget is $1,000. So that's for groceries, gas, toiletries, and like eating out. Basically, we're not really doing much else besides eating out these days. If we want to go somewhere, it's usually free, like the park or just taking a drive. So I don't really have to worry about like fun money. We're not going like to the movies or skating or anywhere like that. We're pretty much in the house most of the time. So out of that $1,000, I created like mini budgets. I try to spend around $400 a month on groceries. Gas is around $200 to $240 a month. My husband has like his own micro budget within our budget that's allocated specifically toward him, and then the rest is just all fun money. To pay for all the stuff within that living expenses category, I use my Amex because it has a $1,000 limit, which is perfect. So when the money's gone, it's gone. And also it has really good rewards. So I get 3% back on groceries, 2% back on gas, and 1% back on everything else. So if I'm spending $1,000 a month, I'm usually getting somewhere between $20 and $30 back in rewards, which pays $20 to $30 toward that next month's bill. So it's really a win-win. I pay it in full every single month. The money is always in my account ready to be transferred when the bill is ready to be paid, and it just works out for me. But like I said, if you know that you're not responsible enough to do that, then I would not recommend it. But if you can do it and pay it off every single month, then you can benefit from it. What helps when it comes to staying on track as far as like how much money I'm spending on groceries and stuff like that is that, for one, I plan out our groceries for the week. So I figure out a menu for the week and I create my grocery list based on that menu. I typically end up spending a lot less on groceries than I would if I didn't have a plan at all. So I do most of my shopping at Aldi, which saves a lot of money. And also I like it because I can use the Instacart app and create a grocery list inside of it for Aldi specifically. And if you know about Instacart, you know that with a lot of stores, when you shop through Instacart, you pay more per item. So I know that if the groceries, like on my list, it says that the total is gonna be like $120, it's gonna be less than that in store because they charge a premium for each grocery or for each item. So throughout the week, as we're running out of stuff, I'll be adding stuff to my list. And then as I'm scrolling through Pinterest, I'll be looking at, oh yeah, this looks good, this looks good. And I have a special board that's just for the recipes I'm cooking for the coming week. So I know exactly what I'm cooking, exactly what ingredients I need to get, and exactly how much it's gonna cost me to buy everything I need. And that really helps me to stay on budget. And then since I typically do my grocery shopping on Sundays, every single Monday I will sit down first thing in the morning and go through my budget for the last week. So there's 4 separate categories. One's for groceries, gas, eating out, and toiletries. So then I'll go through and put exactly how much I spent throughout that past week on each of those things. And then I tally it up and I know, okay, well, this is where I am as far as budget. On week 2, I spend 50%. Okay, I'm right on track, good. But if I'm at like 75% of the budget on week 2, I know I need to slow down. And then the last part of that budget is obviously my husband. So I'll also tally up the money that he spent throughout the week. I'll send him a screenshot at work and say, this is where you are with your budget and this is how much money you have left. So he'll know every week. He has like a snapshot of how much money he has left. I don't factor in one-time expenses into that budget. Like if my kids need a new pair of shoes or new clothes or something like that, that comes out of like the cushion money, just because that stuff does happen. They do want and need stuff, and if they need it, then I will go ahead and buy it. But like I said, that doesn't come out of our living expenses money because it's just one-time purchases. But if I need like laundry detergent or aluminum foil, stuff like that, that comes out of like the grocery budget or toiletries, depending on what it is. So that's how I kind of categorize everything, and that's how I put it into a bigger picture of that, what's coming out of that budget. So one thing that I will say is that we've definitely cut back drastically on like just random spending, like Starbucks and like just stuff that we know we don't really need, and we just like impulse purchases. Those kinds of things are pretty much nil at this point. We don't really, it's pretty much down to zero. We don't really like just buy things just for the purpose of buying them. We really are focused on saving for a house and paying off debt and doing things that will improve the quality of our life in the long term. So those short-term thinking purchases are the first thing to go, and honestly like the easiest thing. It's just not worth it when you think about it in the grand scheme of things. I think that as a couple, it was important for us to understand that short-term thinking wasn't going to help us reach long-term goals. So if you can think about it like that, you know, I think that helps, so that you don't feel left out or like FOMO when everybody else is doing something that seems fun in the moment, but you know, could really derail your goals for the month. I feel like it's just, you just got to remember that short-term thinking will not help you reach long-term goals, period. So that's definitely been one thing that's truly or tremendously improved how much money we have to save and put toward debt payoff. But yeah, so that is how we were able to save $11,000 in 3 months. Hopefully this video was helpful and it's something that you can implement on your own. But if you have any questions, definitely drop them below and I'm happy to answer them. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, go ahead and do that now, and also give this video a like, and I'll see you in the next one.